Welcome to Just Blazor Programming once again. Thank you everybody for subscribing to me, and this time we're going to be discussing misconceptions of Blazor. Don't worry, I have a technical video coming. Here's the proof. As you can see, I'm working on a technical video right now. There's just a bit of work here, and then, I got to do some more testing, but I am working on it. So, I'm working on a technical video. Don't worry. And now that you've seen it, just relax. I'm going to get to it as soon as I'm done with this one. It should be out this week. Trust me. I'll get to the big video that I have in mind later on, though. So, first things first, I want to discuss the misconceptions of Blazor because I've seen a lot of you in the comments asking about it, asking about Blazor projects and stuff like that. But the more I keep seeing you write about Blazor, the more I keep seeing that there is a fundamental misconception of what Blazor is and how to use it properly. And I think that's pretty natural. Blazor is sometimes seen as a JavaScript SPA language or a SPA framework. So you want to compare it as such. You want to compare it against React and Angular. In fact, I do it all the time in these videos that I compare it between the big SPA frameworks that are written in JavaScript. Because they are component-based frameworks and they act pretty much the same. But Blazor is its own beast. It is a different animal. It doesn't have virtual DOM or doesn't touch the DOM like Angular does. It is its own sandbox. So it works a little bit differently and you have to treat it a little bit differently as well. Even though the way you're going to build it is probably going to be very, very similar. There are some things you need to know. And there are some questions that I keep getting asked on my comment sections that show me that there is this fundamental misconception of what is Blazor, how to use it, and how to use it, effectively. So that's what this video is for. And I'm going to start with the first misconception that I have seen, and that is that you can't build complex web apps with Blazor. When people say that you can't build complex web apps with Blazor, they're saying that you can only use Blazor to build SPA frameworks. So think of React or Angular, but only using it for a single page application. Now, I think this is absolutely incorrect, obviously, because Blazor, number one, is written in C#. Number two, it has .NET libraries inside of it. And even if you're using just the WASM, you still have a lot of things available to you that can make a complex web application, even though there are some design considerations you have to take in order to make it work, to the best of its abilities. But Blazor Server has most of those libraries available to you off the bat. So you can build a complex web app with Blazor alone, or use a .NET backend if you want to with API calls in order to do it with. This is not dissimilar to how JavaScript handles its API calls. In fact, when it comes to React, Facebook is written in React, or at the very minimum, it has a bunch of components written in React for Facebook. That's from what I read. So you can build complex web applications with SPA frameworks, and it has been done, and that's usually the way we build web apps right now. And Blazor is no different in that regard. It is different in how you're going to implement the design, though, because you have a choice between the Blazor WASM WebAssembly and the Blazor server. But you can build complex web applications, absolutely. It's not just limited to just a single page application that's super simple. Now, moving on to misconception number two. The complete opposite of number one is that you can only build complex web apps with WASM and a .NET framework in the backend. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I have gotten a lot of requests to build a project that uses WASM and .NET combined to create some sort of maybe 2-tier or 3-tier architecture for this project. That is what I'm trying to build right now. And that is not what you just saw earlier, but I'm trying to build that because it takes a little bit, takes some time, and I'm not exactly, I'm not 100% on this YouTube channel just yet, you know what I mean? But for now, it will take a while to get there. However, going back to the WASM thing, you could build a WASM and a .NET backend that has API calls similar to how you would handle a JavaScript framework and a backend, whatever it's going to be, in order to communicate with each other. But you have Blazor Server. Remember, Blazor comes in two flavors. One being Blazor, the WebAssembly, and Blazor Server. So Blazor Server already has all the implementations of ASP.NET Core in it, which means that you already have all the authentication and stuff. And if you need to hit the back end, you don't really need to make API calls because you have all the libraries available to you, I believe. I'm 99% sure about that because I've seen examples on Microsoft.com that they just have a Blazor server and then they use Entity Framework, and then boom, they have access to the database through that, and they don't have any API calls or whatever. But that's different when it comes to Blazor Client, the WebAssembly. Let's say WASM, the WebAssembly, where you do have to make API calls in order to make that happen because WebAssembly is limited to the browser And that browser is basically a sandbox with WebAssembly running on it, but you still need to make API calls back to the server and do tokens in order to do authentication, all that good stuff. But you're not limited to WASM. You're not limited to making API calls to a .NET backend. You can use Blazor Server as is as both a front end and a back end. Let's just put it that way. That was the second misconception. The third misconception is somehow .NET is not .NET and it doesn't have backend functions. Like, I don't get that. Like, when it comes to WebAssembly, you do have to use, or at least the best way I see, you have a backend .NET call upon through API calls, just like what I mentioned before. That is probably where the confusion lies, because Blazor is not just a client-side framework. It has a server-side for it. It's just like Razor in that sense, where Razor is both a front end and a back end. Sure, you could have an API project somewhere in there because you want to decouple things, but you can use it on its own because the libraries are still available to you, and it does the connection to the backend through SignalR. With Blazor Server, you don't have much of an issue with it. Now, I personally am one that would like to decouple things regardless. So if I'm using Blazor Server or Blazor or WebAssembly, depending on whatever I want, I do want a decoupled framework. But if I'm going that far just to decouple them, I would probably stick with Blazor WebAssembly because that is basically the front end portion of it all. So if you are thinking of a front end Blazor thing, you're thinking of the Blazor WebAssembly. But Blazor Server can act on its own more or less. I hope that clears the confusion. That's basically what I've been saying for the last couple of misconceptions. This question gets asked in different ways, and I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. So yes, WebAssembly, the client-side version of Blazor, WASM, WebAssembly, that has limitations, and it is reliant on API calls to make the backend work over the server. A Blazor Server, you're already on the server when you're making these calls. It is quick enough to do so, but you're right. You won't have the decoupling that you would need in order for WebAssembly to work, and that could be a pro or a con depending on your needs. It's all about the design pattern you want to use and whatever is the use case for you. The fourth misconception, and this is a weird one because I've seen it and I know this can work, but I think this is a giant misconception, is that using Blazor WebAssembly as your front end with a Blazor server as your backend. Can you do this? Yes, you can make a Blazor WebAssembly front end, hit a Blazor backend. But here is my counter. I could put on my sock, then I put on my shoe, then put on a sock on top of the shoe. I could do that too, but it's not something that I'm going to do because it doesn't make too much sense to me. If you're going to go this far in order to try to implement all the Blazor in the world here, then you're better off, if you want this case to work, either doing one of two things, the things I've mentioned before. Either using Blazor Server on its own and doing all the stuff you can do in Blazor Server because it has the old libraries available to you without those API calls, or if you want to do the decoupling thing and have that multi-tier project, then you would want to use the WebAssembly because you'll have the front-end WebAssembly, hit the API calls like you're used to with these JavaScript frameworks, and then you do the backend with .NET. So depending on what you want. And then obviously I would suggest, if you're going to use authentication, use tokenization. Even Microsoft says it on their thing too, just a little caveat. So WebAssembly is the more traditional way of doing things, where you have the decoupling of the projects, while the backend server can act on its own. So if you have like something that you want to do really quickly and you want access to everything at once, you could use the backend server for that, the Blazor server, my bad. And if you want a project that is decoupled, then you want to use a client WebAssembly. So I do not suggest using them both together because there's really no point. Like, both of them basically do the same thing. They support components, and then one of them just has server power basically, and the other one does not. The other one lives on the browser, as in the sandbox. That's where WebAssembly lives. So yeah, you could. I just don't see a need to, because you have the same components already in Blazor Server. There's no point. But hey, to each his own. If you want to make a fun project like that because you want to prove it, hey, do that. But yeah, you can do it. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't make Doom in Excel. People have done it. I wouldn't do it. I would use Unity or Unreal Engine instead of Excel. Can it be done in Excel? Yeah, but you get it. But yeah. And those are the 4 common misconceptions I get when it comes to Blazor, either through your questions, comments, or through me looking at Stack Overflow and Reddit pages and Microsoft pages or whatever questions people ask on Blazor. Because I see that the most common use case for Blazor is people wanting the WebAssembly front end, the .NET backend, which is understandable. Like, I like that. I like that architecture as well. And I would like to make a project like that, or make a project with Blazor Server, whatever, depending on what people want. In regards to that, my first project is going to be a little bit more simpler. So just to get my feet wet, because I work a full-time job and it takes a long time to make these videos. That's the whole point of this, basically, to both explain the misconceptions I've seen, get a video out there, and explain the progress that I'm making towards making a true course, like not just my little explanations on the programming stuff that I'm gonna do. I still have to finish them because I feel that these concepts are important. But yeah, I am still working on a full project. And with that, this video was very quick. I think I'm done. If there are other questions or concerns you have, maybe I'll make another video with your questions. If you want, credit for those questions, let me know. If I could show your comments off or whatever. So yeah, thanks a lot though. We're about to hit the 200 sub mark. Help me out here, guys, please. Let this channel grow. Then I could do this full time. In a couple of years, maybe, at the pace I'm going. Well, anyways, just Blazor's out of here. See you later.